Elizabeth, a literary princess. If you are new here, welcome. I am a 6-year PhD candidate in English literature with a focus on Victorian women novelists. And as you might expect, I love to read. Today I have a book review for you of Our Mutual Friend by Charles Dickens, which I read for March of the Mammoths. This is going to be a spoiler-free review, and I am working really hard at that because this book is very easy to spoil if you just speak wrong. Going to be the first of what I hope is just kind of many individual book reviews of Victorian novels. I have been wanting to get into individual book reviews lately, and I feel like what better than to just review the stuff I work with, Victorian literature. So, we will see how this goes. Let's jump in. Our Mutual Friend was serialized in monthly parts from May 1864 to September 1865 before being put out in 3 volumes in 1865. It was Dickens's final completed novel. After this, he did write half of a novel, The Mystery of Edwin Drood, which he died before he was able to finish. The story kind of revolves around this fortune left by the deceased John Harmon. He has made his fortune in dust heaps, which are basically rubbish. But there's a lot of money to be had in rubbish. And the issue is it's supposed to go to his son, the young John Harmon, with the caveat that he must marry this girl he has never met in his life, Bella Wilfer, who he does not know. And should he choose not to, the fortune will go to Mr. and Mrs. Boffin, who were the loyal servants of the Harmon family. Now, in the first chapter, John Harmon's body is pulled out of the River Thames, drowned. So the fortune does go to the Boffins. And I would say pretty much everything in this book revolves around this in some way, shape, or form. There is a ginormous cast of characters. Like, I think it's a bigger cast than Bleak House. And even if it's not, I feel like it's more spread out than Bleak House is. Like, I feel like at least with Bleak House, they're all kinda in the same vicinity, whereas this cast, like, they're everywhere. And they do all tie together, but it takes a while. So, I mean, some of the people that we have are the Boffins, obviously, who are very kind and wonderful. They are working class, and suddenly they are thrown into this upper class. They are the richest people that anybody knows. We have Bella Wilfer, the woman John Harmon was supposed to marry. We have Lizzie Hexam, the daughter of the man who pulls John Harmon's body out of the river. We have Lizzie's brother Charlie and his schoolmaster, Mr. Bradley Headstone. Mortimer Lightwood, the lawyer for the Harmon will, and his friend Eugene Rayburn, who is a barrister. Roger Rogue Riderhood, the former partner of Lizzie's father, who is absolutely up to no good at all times. Silas Wegg, a one-legged ballad seller who is hired by Mr. Boffin to read to him. The Lamleys, who are freaking ridiculous. They are both fortune hunters, and they have accidentally married each other, having been brought to believe that the other is rich, only to find neither of them are rich. It's great. My husband thought that was hilarious when we watched the miniseries. We have Mr. Raya, a very kind Jewish man who works as a moneylender for Mr. Fascination Fledgeby, who is horrible and a friend of the Lamleys. We have Jenny Wren, who is the best character ever. She is a young girl who is a doll's dressmaker. She is disabled, and she's just amazing. She is the person of the house because her father is a drunk and she is the one who is actually running things. Lizzie boards with them after her father's death. And then we have John Rokesmith, who is a lodger at the Wilfers' house and gets hired as the Boffin's secretary. That's like not even half the cast, okay? That's just like who I would consider some of the most important players in here. There are so many people. So many people. It is hard to keep straight at the beginning. First you're like, whoa, who are you? What are some of the major themes of the book? The first one is obviously money. Bella Wilfer says, I have made up my mind that I must have money, Pa. I feel that I can't beg it, borrow, or steal it, and so I have resolved that I must marry it. Have resolved, I say, Pa, that to get money, I must marry money, in consequence of which I am always looking out for money to captivate. At another point, she says, and yet, Pa, think how terrible the fascination of money is. I see this and hate this and dread this and don't know but that money might make a much worse change in me. And yet I have money always in my thoughts and my desires. And the whole life I place before me is money, 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 and what money can make of life. What will people do for money? What will they do when they have money? What will they do when they don't have money? Is really a driving force of this book. And we see it in so many different characters in so many different ways. Obviously Bella, who we were just hearing from, the Boffins, Silas Wegg, the Lamleys. Just, what will you do for money? How does it change you when you have it? And of course, how does not having it affect you? Because many of the characters in this book are very poor. Lizzie Hexam and Jenny Wren are poor. And really, so are the Wilfers. They are a more middle-class poor than I would say Lizzie Hexam is. Lizzie's father makes his living pulling bodies out of the river, stealing their money out of their pockets, and then turning them into the police for a reward. Like, that is their business. So that is pretty poor. Whereas Bella Wilfer's father has a job, I believe as a clerk in some kind of office, but they are still pretty poor. And then we have the Boffins, who were servants and have been raised up in status and now want to go in for fashion, I believe is what Mrs. Boffin says. I don't remember if that's from the book or just from the miniseries, but it was a very memorable line. So I would say that is the major of major themes of this book, with closely following being class and social mobility. Charlie Hexam says, I don't want, as I raise myself, to shake you off, Liz. I want to carry you up with me. That's what I want to do and mean to do. So in this book, we have characters shifting classes, moving up, moving down, trying to move up and not successfully moving up. Charlie Hexam is one example. As I said, the Hexams are very poor. However, Lizzie has been sacrificing quite a lot so that Charlie can get an education. And he eventually moves from his original school to a much better school where he stays, and his father disowns him because he goes to get an education. And so Charlie is moving up in the world. He is learning to become a schoolmaster, which will put him above his own sister in class. As he says here, he wants to bring her with him, but she is living with Jenny Wren, the doll's dressmaker, in a pretty bad part of town, not much money, and he's thinking, if you keep acting like this, it's going to reflect poorly on me. Of course, we have the Boffins who move up in social class, as I said. We have Bradley Headstone, Charlie's schoolmaster, who was incredibly poor as a child, but has raised himself up to be a respectable schoolmaster. the same thing that Charlie is now trying to do. We also have a whole upper class set that includes the Veneerings, who are the people that the Lamleys are connected with, who have caused them to each think the other is rich. And also the Podsnaps are in that social class, along with Lady Tippins. And Mortimer and Eugene are with this set quite often. And of the Veneerings, Dickens writes, Mr. and Mrs. Veneering were brand new people, in a brand new house, in a brand new quarter of London. Everything about the Veneerings was spick and span new. All their furniture was new, all their friends were new, all their servants were new, their plate was new, their carriage was new, their harness was new, their horses were new, their pictures were new, they themselves were new, they were as newly married as was lawfully compatible with their having a brand new baby. And if they had set up a great-grandfather, he would have come home in matting from the Pentencon without a scratch upon him, French polished the crown of his head. For in the Veneering establishment, from the hall chairs with the new coat of arms, to the grand pianoforte with the new action, and upstairs again to the new fire escape, all things were in a state of high varnish and polish, and what was observable in the furniture was observable in the Veneerings. The surface smelt a little too much of the workshop, and was a trifle sticky. So the Veneerings are new money. And they have just moved into this social class, but they are very much acting as if they've always been there. Like, they are ridiculous, as are the Podsnaps. There's this whole thing with Podsnappery, it's called. It's great. This is society. And at one point toward the end of the novel, some of the characters are talking about, like, what will society think? And one of them says, I don't care what society thinks. Let them say what they want. Don't care. So obviously this theme goes very hand in hand with the theme of money, because with money comes social class, but not fully, because the Boffins are considered very vulgar, yet still everyone wants to know them because they have money. And the Lamleys are kind of posing as upper class, even though they don't have any money. So it's all very interesting and intricate. And then the last major theme I want to talk about is the River Thames, because it is a huge symbol in this book and very much represents life and death. Right at the beginning, Lizzie is out with her father in the boat, pulling the body out. And he says to her, "It's my belief you hate the sight of the very river." I do not like it, father. As if it wasn't your living, as if it wasn't meat and drink to you. How can you be so thankless to your best friend, Lizzie? The very fire that warmed you when you were a baby was picked out of the river alongside the coal barges. The very basket you slept in, the tide washed ashore. The very rockers that I put it upon to make a cradle of it, I cut of a piece of wood that drifted from some ship or other. So again, Lizzie's family makes their money through the river. That's how they stay alive. But yet, John Harmon drowns in this river. And there are multiple people that end up in this river. And whether they die or not depends on the plot. There is a scene where somebody has ended up in the river, and I'm not going to say who because I'm avoiding spoilers, but they're not sure if he's dead or alive. Doctor examines the dank carcass and pronounces, not hopefully, that it is worthwhile trying to reanimate the same. All the best means are at once in action, and every pretty present lends a hand and a heart and a soul. No one has the least regard for the man. With them all, he has been an object of avoidance, suspicion, and aversion. But the spark of life within him is curiously separable from himself now, and they have a deep interest in it, probably because it is life, and they are living and must die. So, life and death. Huge theme, always connected with the river. There is a character who, when asked if he thinks about being drowned, he says, "I can't be." The person says, "You can't be drowned." "No, it's well known. I've been brought out of drowning, and I can't be drowned." I mean, there are at least like 3 characters that end up in this river. Possibly more. No, there's more. There's so many people that end up in this river. And again, all related to life and death. Can you survive the river? Will it kill you? It is a place of death, but it is also a place of life. Very interesting. So those are just a few of the major themes I noticed. What did I ultimately think of the book? If you can't tell, I really loved it. This was fantastic. Utterly, utterly fantastic. The characters are so they jump off the page, whether you love them or you hate them, because there are some truly, truly detestable characters in this book. But there are also some absolutely wonderful people. The Boffins, I adore them. I really loved Bella Wilfer's plot. And my favorite character has to be Jenny Wren. She has not only favorite character of this book, but like added to the list of my top Victorian characters, and even just my favorite characters in general, Victorian or not. She is so funny and just a fascinating character. Like, here is how we are introduced to her. Charlie has brought Bradley Headstone to visit his sister, and she is boarding with Jenny Wren. The boy knocked at the door, and the door promptly opened with a spring and a click. A parlor door within a small entry stood open and disclosed a child, a dwarf, a girl, a something, sitting on a little low, old-fashioned armchair, which had a kind of working bench before it. "I can't get up," said the child, "because my back's bad and my legs are queer, but I'm the person of the house." "Who else is at home?" asked Charlie Hexam, staring. "Nobody's at home at present," returned the child, with a glib assertion of her dignity, "except the person of the house. What did you want, young man?" "I wanted to see my sister." "Many young men have sisters," returned the child. "Give me your name, young man." The queer little figure and the queer but not ugly little face, with its bright gray eyes, were so sharp that the sharpness of the manner seemed unavoidable, as if, being turned out of that mold, it must be sharp. And then later, Bradley Headstone asks her if any of the neighboring children come to play with her. "Oh, Lud!" cried the person of the house with a little scream, as if the word had pricked her. "Don't talk of children. I can't bear children. I know their tricks and manners," she said with an angry little shake of her right fist closed before her eyes. "Always running about and screeching, always playing and fighting, always skipping on the pavement and chalking it for their games. Oh, I know their tricks and their manners," shaking the little fist as before. "And that's not all. Ever so often calling names in through a person's keyhole and imitating a person's back and legs. Oh, I know their tricks and their manners. And I'll tell you what I'd do to punish 'em. There's doors under the church in the square, black doors leading into black vaults. Well, I'd open one of those doors and I'd cram 'em all in, and then I'd lock the door, and through the keyhole I'd blow in pepper." "What would be the good of blowing in pepper?" asked Charlie Hexam. "To set 'em sneezing," said the person of the house, "and make their eyes water. And when they were all sneezing and inflamed, I'd mock 'em through the keyhole, just as they, with their tricks and their manners, mock a person through a person's keyhole. No, no children for me. Give me grown-ups." She's great. She is young, It's not entirely clear how young she is supposed to be. I'm thinking like 12. I don't think it ever actually says, but she is so observant. When she says, I know their tricks and their manners, she says that about everybody, particularly men. She does not trust men very much. But she picks up on things like whether someone is a good person or a bad person, whether this person has feelings for another person. She's very sharp, even though she's odd, obviously. She is one of Dickens' eccentrics. And I think the people in the book frequently don't realize how much she is getting. They're just like, oh, she's a bit off. But no, she's getting everything. So yeah, I love her. She's amazing. Her name is also not really Jenny Wren. She's given herself this name. So yeah, I really enjoyed these characters so much. And as I said, the villains are, truly villainous. I'm not gonna say much about them because it would spoil things. Again, I'm trying to avoid spoilers, but there is this one, he is scary. Okay? He's scary. He's just scary. Very, very scary. This also contains the world's worst marriage proposal, like in all of English literature. Like, get out of the way, Mr. Darcy. Here's one that's even worse. I'm like, oh my God, dude, no. But it is just so fantastic. Dickens gets such strong emotions out of the reader through this because his characters are so well drawn. Apparently the characters were something that people at the time really had a problem with. They didn't really like the characters. I'm like, you're all crazy. Like Henry James complained about it. I had one problem with this book at the end. Obviously I cannot say anything because that would spoil it. I don't know, it was like 40 pages from the end, and I was like, how are we gonna wrap up this particular plot strand with only 40-ish pages left? And what Dickens did, it felt like he had written himself into a corner and he didn't have enough time to write out a proper conclusion for it, so he just made this thing up, except that's not what he did, because he has a whole plan for the novel where he plans everything out, and it's in the back of my edition. It's very interesting. I want to get my hands on the, there's a book that has like the facsimile copies, but it's not at my library at the moment. Someone has it out. Anyway, so that's not what happened, it would seem. Whereas that is something that I'm pretty sure happened in early Dickens novels, particularly Oliver Twist. He was like, oh crap, I've written myself into a corner. Time to make some stuff up. But that is how it felt. It felt way too easy. However, I originally was going to give it 4.5 stars because of that thing. And if you've read the book, you know what I mean. However, I spent so much time after finishing this just thinking about it and how much I enjoyed it. I was like, it's 5 stars, even though I have this one problem that you would think is like kind of a major problem because it's the ending, but I don't know. Like, again, it was a problem for me, but I don't care. It's still 5 stars. That's just absolutely a phenomenal book. I think it might be my favorite Dickens book. I have to reread David Copperfield because that is the other one that I know I've given 5 stars to, but I haven't read it in a really long time. 10 years, ew. Anyway, so I would need to reread David Copperfield to know whether Our Mutual Friend is truly my favorite. but I highly, highly recommend this. Probably not as your first Dickens novel because it is really widespread and complex. But if you've read some Dickens novels or just even Victorian literature in general and you liked it, I highly recommend picking this up. It is so, so worth it. Oh, that is my review of Our Mutual Friend. Let me know down in the comments below. Have you read it? What did you think of it? Do you agree or disagree with some of my thoughts? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of my bookish content. It has been great chatting with you. I will see you soon. Bye.